It looks quiet now, but beneath its unearthly beauty lies one of the planet's most destructive forces. This is Mount Pinatubo, an active volcano that erupts once every few hundred years and has done for centuries. But when it last exploded, just under 10 years ago, it revealed a deadly modern danger, a dirty military secret.
Out of the 1,200, you have 80 persons dead. And more are dying, like Elvira is saying, that it's happening like almost monthly. So just for this last year, they had 31 persons dead.
This is the story of people who fled the most powerful force in nature, only to have their lives ruined by the world's most powerful nation.
The U.S. military has polluted land in such a way that they'd be in jail if they did this in America.
When Pinatubo first showed signs of eruption, no one thought it would be a big deal.
At that time, we were not monitoring Pinatubo. But because of the response of the inhabitants near the volcano, when they reported the unusual activity of the volcano, we immediately sent a quick response team.
It was just in time. Within hours, Pinatubo was the biggest volcanic eruption anywhere in more than 100 years. Scores died, but Jamie's early warning meant many more were saved.
When it erupted, it was well predicted. So thousands or millions of lives were saved because of that good prediction. Most of the inhabitants of Tarlac, Pampanga, and Zambales were evacuated to evacuation centers. If not, you have seen the effects of the eruption.
Thousands more were forced from their homes when typhoons caused massive volcanic mudflows. Many were moved here to the abandoned fields of Clark Air Base, once Washington's biggest airbase outside the United States. But no one knew this apparent haven of safety was instead a deadly trap.
It used to be a motor pool of the U.S. Air Force.
Merla Baldonado started work here redeveloping the airbase for business. While other Pinatubo evacuees were adapting to their new life, the people passing through Clark Air Base, and especially those moving here at an area called Cabcom, were falling seriously ill. What sort of things are they dying from?
From internal diseases like cancer, and mostly cancers, uterus, breast, liver cancer.
It took years for Merla's group to discover the awful truth, that Cabcom had been a toxic dump for the former US base. Several studies found it polluted with mercury, nitrate, lead, insecticides, fuel byproducts, and polychlorinated biphenyls, among others, insoluble compounds believed to be cancer-causing. 40,000 evacuees were moved through Cabcom over several years. They drank its water and grew their food here, with no knowledge of the poison they were ingesting.
You have all this whole range of contaminants that are, in many studies, have already been established as causing causing a lot of damage to the health of the people. Mm-hmm. And also, I wish to add that actually the United Nations Environmental Program has accepted that this area is a toxic hotspot in terms of the persistent organic pollutants.
While many are dying, some have been dealt an even more tragic fate. 6-year-old Abe Turak can't walk or talk. He has to be fed and cared for every waking moment. He was conceived at Cabcom on the Clark base after his mother Elvira fled Pinatubo. When she was 3 months pregnant with Abe, doctors detected a problem.
And lastly, asked me kung saan nga kinukuha yung tubig na iniinom namin. Sinabi nga namin sa mga bomba, yung pump na nakatayo sa Capcom. Yung lumitaw na test noon, hindi pwedeng iniinom dahil nga nag-oil at saka grease. Hindi namin po alam yung words na toxic noon.
He has central nervous system disorder, a common consequence of heavy metal poisoning, and he wasn't the only one.
Kasi on that same year of 1995, halos 4 kaming nanganak na same of that year, lumabas na halos same case na anak ko, yung nagsisisure, no?
How do you know it's linked to the water?
Well, before that, these things never happened to this community. And then, when they were evacuated, some people remained in a resettlement area very close to where they came from. And these people, as compared to the people who went through Clark, through Capcom, were not getting any of these kind of sicknesses.
The mother of 3 other healthy children, Elvira has no doubt who's to blame for Abe's condition.
Yung nga una yung government ng US. Binigyan ng restriction na hindi pwedeng tirahan yan o ibigay sa mga evacuation. And then the government also, Philippines government, dapat nakipag-communicate na hindi kami doon dinala kasi lahar victims na nga kami. Tapos, dinala pa kami sa nakaka-dangerous na nakaka-postal na lugar pala.
Elvira hopes one day that Abe will get better, but deep in her heart, she knows he never will.
Kaya kung sakaling umatay ako, sabi ko na, sabay na lang kami.
She's dead?
No, she's dead. She died October last year. This lady died July last year.
Kids?
This lady died October last year.
These are the tortured faces and diseased bodies of Clark's other victims.
Congenital heart disease.
It's difficult to conclusively prove that this is the result of toxic waste left by the US military. But Philippine Senator Sergio Osmania believes there's enough evidence to say that it is.
Yeah, this guy's a vegetable. I mean, he can't do anything. You had acute leukemia. You had lots of babies being born mentally retarded or with physical deformities. You had women, especially pregnant women, contracting pharyngeal cancer, coming up with kidney disease or kidney ailments, liver ailments, etc.
Washington's embassy in Manila says only that the US practiced good environmental stewardship of its military bases. But a 1992 US government internal report says there is in fact significant environmental damage at Philippines bases. Its Defence Department also admits potentially significant liabilities for the clean-up of former bases in several countries, including the Philippines. But when Senator Osmania approached the Pentagon for answers, it was a very different response.
Unfortunately, the United States Defense Department utilized a clause in the 1947 Military Bases Agreement which holds them harmless from having to rectify any damages on the land that they occupied as military bases. And so this is the legal cover which the United States government has been using in order to evade responsibility, legal or otherwise, for the toxic and hazardous waste that they have left behind in this country.
So what are you seeking from the US government then?
Well, we're seeking for them first to live up to their moral responsibility. If they say they have no legal responsibility, that's fine by me, but there is a moral responsibility. Their own laws mandate that polluter pays. In other words, if you dump the waste, you clean it up.
While Washington's stone walls, Back at Clark Base, we find another generation at risk. Pinatubo evacuee Emmeline Alicto doesn't realise the danger of wells that have already poisoned so many others. Why aren't you worried about your own kids, though, if you're washing their food in the water from the same area? Okay. Are your kids okay? Do you see any trouble for your children?
No, nothing yet. It's really very dangerous because she became pregnant here, and she has young children, and this is the window of vulnerability that is, in terms of toxics, that's when they hit you most.
And the longer the US refuses to even map the toxic sites, let alone clean them up, the more people it endangers.
Clark supplies potable water to the city of Angeles. So you could be in a situation wherein the residents of the city of Angeles is going to be poisoned because they'd be pumping water from the aquifer that has already been contaminated by toxins from Clark.
For Pinatubo's survivors, there's a double tragedy. They can't go home. Millions of tonnes of volcanic ash, known as lahar, still choke Pinatubo's rivers, making the mountain dangerously unpredictable. Those who lived here can't return for at least a generation, and in reality, that means their families can't come back while the mountain valleys remain dangerous.
During rainy seasons, these river channels will be filled with flowing volcanic sediments, muddy sediments.
Jamie Sinkyoko, the resident volcanologist, knows the dangers here better than most. While the lahar makes the journey up Pinatubo easier, it's suffocated the mountain's life.
Before the eruptions, they live a happy life in this valley because source of foods are very abundant. Unlike now that everything has been lost, has been destroyed, especially the aquatic life and their source of income, farming. Hindi, kung dito lang tayo makakalusot, dito lang mahirap eh.
It's not far before we find how fragile these valleys are. Heavy rain has made the lahar so soft our vehicles can go no further.
Hindi, di na para ganun lang.
Plants and animals are still scarce, but Pinatubo's stark beauty is starting to attract a steady stream of tourists, despite concerns about the moving lahar when it rains.
It's not safe. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to, no high ground. There. So would like to climb up that.
Towards the crater, the return of the first spindly shrubs give Pinatubo an air of regeneration, but looks are deceptive. The lake's eerie glow is created by sulphur and volcanic gases that make it dangerous to swim in, let alone drink. But as spectacular as this lake is, Jamie's not here to enjoy the scenery. The rainwater filling the crater has no way out. Pinatubo has one last terrible surprise for the mountain's embattled inhabitants.
Water will fill this crater. The water will create an avalanche.
As locals live their lives oblivious to the next disaster, local health staff are still dealing with the last one. 6-year-old Grisel likes drawing. It helps her mind escape the disease she can't rid from her body. Is that you? It is. You're a butterfly there. That's pretty amazing. And you're flying away, are you?
Doon sa Lapaw ka na.
Where would you fly to?
Nakakaliga ng munta. Nakakaliga kasi munta. Loud. As I said, very far.
Ah, that's where you want to fly to.
Yeah, that's
Grisel is suffering from the same leukemia that's already claimed the lives of 4 of her friends. All were conceived at Cabcom on the Clark Air Base. If she found out that it was because, you know, people left a big waste, a big mess, what would she like to say to those people? It's already too late for Grisel, but unless somebody cleans up the sites, she probably won't be the last victim of a legacy she's too young to even understand. Moved it.